tripping, now I'm blue. Mega man, I can't win for losing cause I got too many haters, man. Used to be the paper boy, grew up now I'm mega man. Player 1, player 2, show your ass what players do. Up, down, left, right, hit on with a stronger time. Yeah, I smoke the strongest back. Tell me what is wrong with that. More coins in the laundromat, you can't help but honor that. Jam man, mega man, more games than the Sega man. All I smoke is chronic, run my coins just like I'm Sonic. From the hood, I speak Ebonics. That in economics, shorty, we can link like Zelda. That broke, then you a failure. Stack your money up like Tetris. I don't know what else to tell you. Over here, everybody got a gun. My life is golden now. You wanna know why niggas die? Nigga, I just told you why. I told the bitch we need to take a break cause she a space invader. Niggas do not know the game. Why? Cause they player haters. I'm a boss jam, man. I call me Dr. Eggman. My money stretched like jogging pants, rubber bands and headbands. Hopped up out the water, niggas trying to sink my battleship. Cause they bitch and bust open like a bag of chips. NBA jam, man. Bitch, I'm ballin'. Just learned a new move, I just don't know what to call it, man. I swear I lost my man, I had to snap back to reality. I ain't sparing nobody, finish a fatality. Bitch, start tripping, now I'm blue. Mega man, I can't win for losing cause I got too many haters, man. Used to be the paper boy, grew up now I'm mega man. Player 1, player 2, show your ass what players do. Up, down, left, right, hit on with a stronger time. Yeah, I smoke the strongest back. Tell me what is wrong with that. No coins in the laundromat, you can't help but honor that. Jam man, mega man, more games than the Sega man. Jam man, mega man, more games than the Sega man. I am the great Saiyan man. You better stop playing, man. This game could be difficult. Depends on how you play it.
Hello everybody, I think the stream is up and running, so I just want to welcome you here. My name is Rosanna Johansson and I am the community manager for The Great Journey. This is my third day working here, so this is going to be very exciting. So we are starting up with the agenda for today. So see if we can get the graphics. Okay, so as you can see, we start off with talking a little bit about the agenda, and then we go forward and I will be talking to Patrick, my co-worker, about The Great Journey. After that, 15:30, we're talking about one of the educations, the indie game development education that we have here in Karlstad. 16:00, or like 4 o'clock, we are going to talk to some of the people here in the local industry. Both from the Embracer Group and the Mirage King Studio. After that, we are going to talk about Experience Designer, the newest education we have here. And then we're going to talk to Dominic and Sarah about that. And I'm very excited to do this. This is actually my first time live streaming, so I am a little bit nervous. But I think we're going to do great. So, yeah. If you have any questions, you can go into our Discord channel. That's where we take the questions. And we will, like the format will be like this, that we're going to start talking to everyone about their subjects. So we're going to talk to my colleague with Patrick. Patrick, we're going to talk, and then after that we're going to have a small little Q&A at the end. So we're going to have time for everything. Hopefully. This is going to be very exciting. So, yeah, come join us. Should we take the next step? Go back to talk about The Great Journey. So, hi, Patrick.
Hi.
You are my colleague here. So we are working together here at The Great Journey.
Yes.
So I think the most obvious question actually what are The Great Journey?
How much time do I have? No, The Great Journey is a game dev community. So that means it's a network and it's also a physical place, a room, a space where we meet. Everyone who's a game dev or wants to be an aspiring game dev, and we help each other, we support each other, we talk games, we make games, we sleep, eat games. So the baseline is we want to be the best environment for creating games.
Okay, so the game, The Great Journey, have nothing to do with your educations?
Well, it's like this. We actually, The Great Journey is not a company who makes games. If we take, I have to go back one step here.
Yeah.
But we gather people who are interested in, and we help them to form teams. So that, because you need different skills to make a game. And then, sorry, what was your question again?
So, like the Great Journey is not the education itself.
No, but so after a while we discovered that we need to crank up the volume a bit here. So we need a course. People are asking for to learn skills. So one way to do that is to have different programs, courses. So we have now we've got 2 different courses that are starting. One is up and running, and the other one is starting in August. September.
Okay, that is very interesting to hear. If I come here as a student, what can I expect from the Great Journey? What is the Great Journey for me as a student when I come here?
It's a bit like a family. It's not like a classroom and a teacher and you have a computer and you learn computer stuff or making games. It's actually much more. It's more of a mindset. You have in the Great Journey, you already have studios making games, publishing games, and so you actually, instead of studying how do I make a game or reading it, a book or listening to a lecture, you actually I would say actually the second week you start making a game. So it's learning by doing. And you network, you meet industry people, you meet people who have their studios, etc. So it's much more than just an education program.
Okay, yeah, that's really good actually. And we also have had a little bit of concerns before, because we have one of the courses right now are the indie game developer, and they are studying their first year now here, and then they like now when the COVID-19 have stricken us, how is the education working? What are we doing about it? Like, is it still? I mean,
that's a huge challenge. The good news here is that the Great Journey is actually located at Karlstad Innovation Park. So there are lots of people. We're actually at the forefront of tech and methods for innovation. So the switch from classroom, physical teaching situations and group working together to a digital setup isn't that big actually. So right now, as we are speaking, the students are now out doing their internship at different companies and studios, etc. And the only difference is they sit at home in Alingsås or in Stockholm or in Karlstad or wherever they come from. But they do their internship digitally with that studio or company.
So if we say that I was a student interested in applying to these courses, then even if COVID-19 is still happening, we are still continuing with the courses digitally.
Yes.
To the fall. Yeah,
totally. We have all the resources to it's business as usual. It's remarkable how swift that change has gone from actually being in the same room to not being in the same room. But still, we get as they say, shit done.
Yeah. I think we have also. Do we have some videos that we want to show?
Well, hopefully.
Yeah, I think. Okay.
I could take this little. I could take the opportunity and as I mentioned before, that Great Journey is a game dev community. you don't have to know a skill how to program or to do 3D or 2D modeling, etc., or game design, but you needed the passion and the will to do so, to learn how to do it. The other thing, which is really a huge advantage, and I would say a different thing from a lot of other educations and schools, is that this is the context is actually we're in in the same building as Karlstad Innovation Park, and we have loads of people there, who startups, people who are into UX or tech or social innovation or social enterprises, etc. So there's a variety of very, very driven people.
That is such a good environment for game devs to start working in.
It is.
So I think we're going to switch over to show you a Okay, great. So that was an introduction to a bit of how the environment here are at the Innovation Park. So you could see one of our most popular places, the coffees, which is where everyone drink their morning coffee and also eat their lunches.
Yeah.
So there, for I have only been there for 3 days, but I already met a lot of people at coffees, and I think it's really a good environment to network and have a coffee with everyone else.
I mean, usually, as you can see on the film clip, it's pretty deserted. There's not a single person, but usually we have, there's loads of people. It's filled, and every Friday we have a communal. We have breakfast together. Yeah. So everyone, both students and people who run companies, etc., we eat breakfast together, and it's a great opportunity to network and meet other people, and also we usually have like a trend spotting section where we talk about trends in gaming or in trends in other parts of that are innovative in some way. So there's a lot of things going on, and it's very inspirational to be in that environment.
I am so looking forward to breakfast tomorrow.
I'm afraid
maybe not.
No,
not now. Okay,
no.
Not during these times.
No.
Okay. So I think we will actually go into a small motivational video, motivational for how we are working here at the Great Journey with supporting people, doing game jams and so on. So I think we can cut to that now, actually.
Should we talk a bit?
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, it's you can see there is a
lot of people working.
Yeah, and making games, basically.
Making games.
And what's interesting is it's easy to think it's only about programming and the sort of the techie side of game, but I would say what really counts at the end of the day is a good idea. And I think games are so interesting in that sense, because
okej. Okej. Then we know. Då behöver ni säga till när den är över. Breakfast. Okay, so there was a small video about like everything that have happened, kind of like all the things that we are doing. Like it's not only that people are meeting up here and are creating games, we're also doing activities. So, for example, we have meetups every Thursday.
Yep,
So today we actually have a meetup after this.
we do.
And what do we do on the meetups, Patrick?
A meetup is both to welcome in new people who are curious and interested in making games, but it's also an opportunity for people, game devs, to talk to each other about their projects, what they're doing, share tips, etc. So it's a sort of a changing experiences and hanging out together, having a good time, and sharing their love for and passion for games, basically.
That sounds really good. And we are trying to make people come to us with their ideas. They don't have to, as you said before, they don't have to know everything about making a game. Usually people come with ideas and then they start finding people who can help them to build the idea into a prototype or something like that. We also do other activities. We have lunch talks, for example.
Yeah, it's like you could say it's a bit like a lecture, but it's not so formal and not sort of teacher pupil. It's more peer to peer. But we would have next Thursday we have Lisa from Resolution Games, and she will come and do a talk on her view on game design and in the games industry. So that's sort of a typical lunch talk. We also we go to Sweden Game Conference in October. We go to Arctic Game Week in May, and in August we usually go to Gamescom in Germany. So we do a lot of things together as well, which is great fun.
Getting to know everyone, get to know each other also.
Traveling is very good.
Yeah.
So we this COVID-19 thing really has had a huge impact on that. So it's we have to network in different ways.
Yeah.
In new ways, I would say.
So now we have like all the lunch talks and all the meetups. We also have them digitally now, because since we have the restrictions of the COVID-19, we cannot meet everyone in person anymore.
No.
But I think what I've seen is that it hasn't changed anything really. People are still showing up, talking about what they're passionate about, and just continue the spirit of it.
I mean, I think it comes with the territory, doesn't it? If you like games, you are used to handling computers, and then therefore the switch isn't that big.
I think we're given a pretty good overview of what the Great Journey are. I don't know if we have any questions. If you have any questions, just write them in our Discord channel. You can find the link. I think we have it in the. We have it in. I think in the Facebook event, but also on our Facebook channel. Also we have it in the YouTube. You can also write it in the YouTube chat, I heard. So that's really good. So if you have anything, just write it down and then we take it. Let's see here what we have. Okay. So, what would you say inspired the Okay, let's see. They're both done.
Okay.
Moving back, moving back. Let's see. Okay, I think we are back actually. Super. Okay, we had some technical difficulty, but now we're back. So I think we have a couple of minutes to continue asking or just going through the Q&A. So we got some questions that are how does the room look? The room we're in.
Okay.
It's huge.
It's huge. It has big windows. And it has also serious blinds, so we can actually block out the sunlight if we need to when we're working and using screens. It's very flexible, so we have workstations with computers and 2 screens to each computer. But we also have like tables that we can move around, so you can do like creative workshops. You can do lectures.
Yeah.
You know, pretty much whatever need to. We have VR gear, and we have different software, etc., and a whole bunch of vintage. So we got all the
consoles,
the consoles, and a whole bunch of games. So we need people to play them, because people don't play enough games here. I don't know. I think people work too hard, which is great.
I think, do we have a video of this? Yeah. So we have a small video here for you guys.
Oh, great.
So this is a 3D version of how it looks.
Awesome.
There are some students that have fixed this, so we are very grateful for them.
Yay.
That is so good. Sweet.
That's awesome.
You can also see we're sitting like in the corner, so we have all our games over here. We have the consoles over there, so you can't see them for now. But if you come here, then you can see them. So we have a couple of more questions. I think we have time for it. What is the Great Journey's mission? Do you think we can small it down?
Very easily. The Great Journey's mission is to be the best place for everything connected to game development. So we're building a games industry here in Värmland, and we invite everyone who's interested in game development or studying game development to come and join us and make this come true.
That sounds awesome. That's also why I signed up, because I want this to be true. So I just want to say, I think we have 1 minute left or something. So I think I just want to say thank you, Patrick, for coming here.
Pleasure.
It's been a pleasure talking to you, and it's going to be a pleasure working with you.
Ditto. It's absolutely, totally mutual.
Aww.
So looking forward.
Okay, so now the clock is 3:30, and we are actually moving forward into the next segment, which is indie game developer. So, are everything set for that? Sweet. So we are going to talk to Staffan, who is a teacher, and also 2 students, Lisa and Eddie. So let's see if we can get them on screen and into our conversation.
Well, Stefan, you're on now.
So, I'm on. Nice. Okay. Is everything working correctly?
Yes, everything is working.
All right. Nice.
Hello,
Okay.
Staffan.
Hello. Yes. So firstly, I'll introduce myself. So I am Staffan. My name is Staffan Olsson. I am the educational coordinator and head teacher. So what I do is together with my boss, who is the programs administrator for this. Together, we make up a schedule for the entire year of what you study, how you study it, and how long each segment is.
Niklas, stäng av din kamera.
Right.
Kör vidare.
Yeah. So that's what I do, and that's who I am. So if you want to know what you're learning, you can try and contact me. My credentials of how to contact me is on the Changemakers website. It is also available when you find apply. You can find my name and you can email me any questions you have. You can also put the questions into the YouTube right now and I'll respond to them. But if you want to text me or message me privately, you could also do so. So yeah, what do you learn then? What is it I try to educate all of you who want to study this? It's very much broad. You learn a bit of everything. You learn 3D, you learn 2D graphics, you learn programming, you learn how to do some level design. We work in game engines, we work in Unity, and also for those who want to work in Unreal, we actually know a lot of Unreal at the Great Journey. So for those of you who want to do that, you can also do that. So those are a bit of the things we learn. And of course, I would say it's kind of difficult. There's a lot of things you learn. We start with some board games where we do some theoretical game design. We design board games that you can play. So it's really good. It's really cool. And then we move on to some level design and programming, and we get into Unity and we start creating some projects inside of Unity. And then we have the 2D graphics, and then we start with what is a project. And that is called the second project we do. The first project is the board game that we make. And then during project 2, we start to create the game inside of Unity, and we do this in teams. And together then you create a game, and I actually have some, if you're seeing the images here, these are some posters from the games that the students made. So I'll show you. These are the posters of some of the games that were made. And we have some, I think I can show you some videos as well here. So you can see some of the games that the students made during their first project, actually, first game project inside of Unity. So I'm gonna keep this rolling while I talk here, so you can watch it at the same time. And I try to develop this course in a way that you learn by doing. So you kind of we use.
Kör på.
Right. We kind of use. Sorry, I was interrupted here. So we kind of use some ways of trying to introduce the theory, and then we try to go on to kind of doing the things we practice in theory. So we always loop back to theory, and then we go on to learn whatever it is the theory said. So if it is some game design, we try to implement that into our games. Or if it is 3D, then we immediately, when we learn the theory, we try to do something with that theory. So we take small steps at the time, but we take it in a way that we make sure that you learn them. And it is a way that I think is the best way to learn, because you truly understand something when you don't just use theory, you also do it in practice. So those are kind of some of the things I try to do with this. So I don't know, which video are we on now? We are on a 3-dimensional game that actually a few guys who really wanted to make something in 3D made it in 3D. It was originally supposed to be a 2D project. Now we move on to another game here, which was made by some guys that have never been in Unity before and haven't done some programming before. And it is a beautiful game, I think. It really keeps surprising me on what the students keep on making. And I think that shows, in a way, how the teaching works. People who's never done programming, people who's never done graphics, and yet they still kind of make all these things. And that's what we're all about, the actual doing. So learning by doing is the way we try to make everything here. And I think this is the last game, actually, that we're showing here. So right now they're doing some projects of their own, and they're also doing some what is it called? Internship. They're having internships. So a few of the students are having internships at some studios and also some innovation studios. So not only game studios. Of course, we focus on making games. This is indie game development. But you also become broad, so you can take internships at places that are maybe in the films or similar to the graphic side. Maybe you learn. So I think that was the last video. Yeah, that's the last video. So that's it actually for me. I don't know. If we're supposed to move on to questions now?
We're going over to Lisa. Right, moving on to you, Lisa. You can introduce yourself now. Sätt på din mick. Din mick av, Lisa.
Sorry. Let's see. My name is Lisa, and I'm one of the students at Indie Game Development. I've actually been a part of the Great Journey for almost 2 years now, and I thought, well, why not try to learn to make some games, because I've always wanted to, but I've always been busy with other stuff. So it encouraged me to start game developing. And right now I really don't regret it, because I've learned a lot in 1 year. So, and if you ask me what the most important, or like the most interesting part of the education has been so far, it's quite hard to point that out, because I think every part has been interesting in some way. For example, I've always liked to draw, but I've never really drawn a lot, so it was really nice to get into that and just see techniques behind, and also programming. I've done some programming, but in Unity, so that was interesting, and it was a lot easier than I thought to begin with. And just how easy it actually is to make a simple game, because I never thought it would be so easy to make like a small game. But if you really put work into it and just are determined, it's quite easy. If you want to make a bigger game, of course, it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort and knowledge, but like just making a small, easy 2D game, it was quite easy, and I was surprised.
Gör ready.
Um,
Ska vi byta till Eddie? Jag byter till Eddie nu. Är det ready? Byter du till Eddie? Eddie, du är på. Ja. Eddie, du kan bara köra. Pratar du?
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, it works. It's fine.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah, okay, great. So I'm also one of the students at the Indie course, and my name is Eddie. Yeah, as I said, I'm one of the students at this amazing course. And just briefly about me, I'm mostly a 2D graphic guy, with knowledge with like Photoshop and some animation. And currently, I'm one of the internship guys at Area Games. So I'm one of 4 people, and yeah, I'm doing the graphics for it. So that's just very short about me. And yeah, I guess can just go to the questions.
Right,
Just
we're moving
taking
over to Rosie. Så nu är ni gruppsamtal.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for introducing yourself. Awesome, and it's so nice to hear about all your experience. Because as I said before, I haven't been here for like 3 days. So looking forward. For you guys to come here when everything is good again, and then good again, and then meet ya. So I think it's super awesome. That you're here. I just want to continue asking some questions, maybe. So talk a little bit about how the education has been for you, and I'm really interested in knowing.
It's echo.
Oh, okay. Let me see. I'm gonna fix my microphone.
Okay, let's see. Okay, I think everything is good now. So, okay, as you said before, you've talked about how this experience in this course have been for you, and I'm really also interested in hear about your experience about the education in regards also to the Great Journey. How have it been having access to this resource to us?
Not sure if I'm experiencing problems here or.
I can't hear them like at all.
No, okay. Well, I could read some questions if we have them. I'm not sure if we should just try and continue the stream.
Are we hearing?
Are we hearing?
Yeah. You're back. You're back.
I'm back. Great. I think we have like two microphones. Might be some resonance problem.
Start over.
Okay. Let's do this.
It's been really good to hear.
It's been really great to hear about your own experience of the course, and I think it's really important because you are like
doing this with us, and we are really excited over that. I would love to hear your experience with video game development, and then how it have been working with the Great Journey. How have you feel about that, about the community and so on? Yeah. Oh, go, Lisa.
Should I go first?
yeah. Oh, go, Lisa.
So I think it has been amazing. Of course, I've been part of the Great Journey before, so I already love the Great Journey and all the people there. That's why I always was hanging out there, like almost every day. So I think it's been amazing with the Great Journey and everything they set up for us, all the computers and the space we have there, and everything. You have so many people at the Great Journey. You can just ask for help if you're stuck somewhere. So you don't only have the students, but you also have like all the people working and hanging out at the Great Journey. So that's amazing.
Eddie, do you have a comment on that?
Could you just repeat the question? Yeah.
What are your thoughts about the Great Journey in regards for your game development?
I've just recently started developing games. I've done like things for games before, like graphics and such, but I haven't really worked with game development from the very get-go. So for me, being at Great Journey is just a really good step to start what I would like to work with, and it's just such a good stepping stone, honestly. Like great people, you have the tools. If you need a question and no one is around, you could ask pretty much anyone. So just a very supportive community, and I think like if you need people, they will most likely help you out. They could even join your team if you have one per se, and it's just a really good community.
Awesome to hear. Staffan, how is it being a teacher and also here with us at the Great Journey?
Here with us at the Great Journey.
It's a complicated thing for me because I both work with the Great Journey and I also make games together with some other members of the Great Journey. So I'm doing both things at the same time, but it's lovely because all the people are so nice and there are people that know so much more even than me in a lot of the areas around here. So even though I teach, there's still a lot of people here that knows more than me, and that's really cool, I think. Funny things are like I get to see all these projects that maybe just started with the Great Journey and they move into some of my student stuff, or my students' project move into the Great Journey and they start thinking about recruiting other members from the Great Journey. So the community of the Great Journey is much larger than only the education itself. So that's really cool.
It's really nice just to hear from all of you guys, like your experience of things, because this is also giving me a picture of how it have been and how I would want it to continue working with this project. We have actually got some questions that have come up in the chat, and people are really excited and curious about what games are you actually working on right now.
So I'm actually working on a game I've been working on for a year now, together with a group of, for right now, 6 other people. But in the beginning, we were a lot of people. And it's a 3D horror / exploring escape Swedish folklore. So that's the current game. But I'm pretty sure it's going to take some time until it's done. But we're getting started. So good.
That sounds awesome. And Eddie? Yeah, what are you working?
I'm working on a lot of things right now. Mainly, I'm working on a game. It's a hack and slash 2D pixel art game, which I'm developing together with another student of ours. I'm also I'm an internship at Agile Games, so I make graphical work for them for the VR game. Then I'm doing UI design for a couple of guys making a game called Quickfinger for iPhone. And I'm also doing some picture work for another indie game that's about exploration. So I'm doing a lot of things.
A lot of stuff, it seems.
Oh, super.
Oh, super.
Cool. Eddie's video was actually shown among the videos. If you remember the pixel art video, that was the game that Eddie was working on. Sadly, the game Lisa is working on wasn't shown among those, and that's a project outside of the indie game development as well. So.
Okay.
Actually, also working on a game. I'm
with
another member of the Great Journey. We don't talk too much about it right now, but it's a VR game where we try to figure out some stuff that only can be done in VR games and fit it into maybe a category of VR games that doesn't quite exist yet.
Exciting. There's so many things happening at the same time. Like we have mobile games, we have VR games, we have PC games. There's just so many things. And I think that is also the beautiful thing about the games, is that it can be so many things for different people. What would you say if we come as a new student for next year? How would they, if they don't know to do, and then they find something they are really passionate about. How can they work with that? How does specializing in a certain area actually work within the education?
Yeah. No, we actually allow for specializing in a certain area that you like a lot. We try to give you this broad education, yet so it's fundamental enough that you can move on with it after the education. But we allow for you to specialize in these different fields. If you're interested in 3D graphics or 2D graphics, we try to make that possible as much as we can, and we do that throughout these projects that we have. So we have projects. We have 2 projects that are a bit longer. The last one that the students are doing now is a lot longer than the other one. So the videos you saw was from the first game project to have in Unity. And that project, they were allowed to do programming, they were allowed to do graphics, and they basically select a role as of how you would do it within the industry. So if they're working as a technical artist, or they're working as a programmer, or a 3D artist, or a 2D artist, we try to fit it according to the roles that the industry has, so that they can focus within these areas if they want to. And then we allow them to also learn to do the technical art style, or a bit more hybrid style, if that's what they want to do. They want to be truly independent of making games all on their own. Then they can try to focus on just gaining those broad skills that you want.
That sounds really good. It sounds like it's really important just to try out, especially try out new things, and then try new roles just to see, because even if I've been programming my whole life, maybe I am actually really good at something else, or I don't think that I can combine something that I'm passionate about. Maybe I write songs on my spare time, and I'm not sure if I can combine it with my game design or game development. So I think it sounds really good for it to be so broad.
One of the things I love about it, actually, that it can be so broad, and yet people can focus on the areas they like the most. I think that allows people to shine where they really feel passionate about it.
I am so looking forward to meeting all of you and just hear about everything. Some people are also very interested in knowing, how do you actually find...
How does it work finding another person that's interested in doing the game that you want to do?
Yeah. I think Lisa knows a bit about that.
So for us, it was all about... Well, in the beginning, we just knew, a few people. For example, Staffan was part of the game in the beginning. Until it just got too much with everything else, with being a teacher and stuff. It just got too much. But we mostly found people at meetups, for example. We got to know new people who were doing certain things, and we just asked them, oh, do you want to be in a project? Or we just kind of pitched our game idea to them. People we knew, so just people who have never done anything with game development. We're just asking them, do you like games? Do you maybe want to be part? And people were very interested, because people are, I don't think they thought it was possible to just make a game. So a lot of people were shocked and oh, can I join? But I've never done this. So that's kind of how we got people. We just asked around among friends and asked at meetups where new people came to the Great Journey.
Was recruiting one of the guest teachers we had for a while, or at least they were talking about recruiting for a game that they were making. I know.
Yeah, like as I said before, you could work with pretty much anyone. If it might be teachers or students or just people coming here, it doesn't really matter who they are or what expertise they have. If they are interested in making games, you could just ask them, and if they do have the time and interest, I'm pretty sure that they will just help you out, even briefly, or even join the teams. So, I mean, yeah, anyone can make games together, including during like game jams and such. And as Stefan said, I've been asking people and just like try and work together and talk and communicate, because most of the time people will just be like, yeah, we can make a game, I really want to, or even if they might not think that you have the greatest idea, they could still see the high potential that it has.
Yeah. Because you're in something called Quickfinger also.
Yeah.
Are you in?
Yeah.
And you have your own project, and you are at an internship right now.
Yeah,
Any other projects you're in?
I'm making work for the game it's an exploration game. They asked me like 2 weeks ago, and I said, well, if I have the time, which I do sometimes, I could do some pictures. So we'll see what happens with that one. I can't say too much.
You have your hands in a lot of pockets.
Yeah, it's all fun.
Sounds awesome. I think I say awesome a lot in these streams, but I really think it is awesome. I think we have a last question, and I don't know if we have said it here, but I've heard it go around, so I want it to be explained a little bit. Someone have been referring to this as a not so chill folkhögskola. Jokingly, what do you mean by that?
What do you mean by that? What do you think?
Depends who said it.
How I would interpret it. I think I mean, we're doing a lot of stuff all the time. Like we're never resting. It's like, okay, we're programming and we're learning new stuff every day. So it's just be at home for. Yeah, exactly. You can't just be at home for like a week. Well, you can, but it's gonna be hard because you're gonna be after a lot. So it's not so chill. Like you can't just like do it to get some money from CSN or something. It's really like you have to put in the work to get results, and yeah.
We always try to have like a goal to work towards. We always have like deadlines for all these small projects and the larger projects, and there's always a new deadline waiting around the corner for when we begin something after. So could potentially be a lot of work for people, but I think we try to have a chill approach to it, despite trying to include all of these things, and that's the reasons we have all of these deadlines all the time. Because I think it's
a good prep for like making games in the future either way, because you have very short time frames to make games and very, very tight deadlines. So it's just basically thinking around.
Yeah.
That sounds really good. Thank you so much, guys. So happy to talk to you, and thank you for coming onto the stream. We are going to switch to the next segment. So thank you so much, guys. See and hear from you later. Bye-bye. So we are going into the next segment, which is the local industry perspective, we call it. And then we're gonna have a bunch of people here. Let's see if we have everyone on screen. So here with me, Simon from Mirage.
We have Simon from Mirage, and you're going to get to introduce yourself soon. And then we have Bea and Karin also, and they are through Skype, I think.
Here. So hi everybody. How's it going?
Hello.
Hello.
We are just fine.
Awesome.
Awesome.
So I would like to let
you guys introduce yourself for everyone at the live stream.
Simon,
who is beside me, maybe do you want to start?
Sure. My name's Simon. Simon Röde from Mirage Game Studios in Karlstad. We're a small mid-sized game studio of 8 people, and I'm one of the founders and the lead game designer at the studio.
Awesome.
Thank you. Bea and Karin.
Who want to go first?
First.
I can start. I'm Bea. I work as the head of brand and communication at Embracer Group. So I take care of the internal and external communication here, and also PR and events, presentations and reports, and also what kind of initiatives we're supporting. Yeah.
Yes. Karin. I've worked at Embracer Group since August last year. And my role here is to develop and lead our sustainability work. I'm also responsible for our policies that are global for the whole group and some other things here.
Guys here today. So we have actually a couple of questions that we've asked you beforehand. And maybe, Bea, you want to start? So we have had this introduction, and now we are asking, how is Värmland connected to the national and global game industry in your perspective?
Yeah, we can start to maybe just give everyone a short brief on Embracer Group.
That's a good start.
Yeah. So we are actually the parent company for companies and businesses that are developing and publishing PC and console games for the global market. So we are based here in Karlstad, the parent company, and we also have a small office in Stockholm. We are a few people here at the headquarters. We're about 15 people in total. And then we have a very global group. We have 5 operative groups in our portfolio, which is Coffee Stain, Amplifier Game, and then we have THQ, Koch Media, and now Saber Interactive as well. So it's a global group with almost 3,500 people connected within employers and contractors in 40 countries. So it's a very global network we are having from this parent company then. So tell you also more about the games we're representing in the group are Saints Row, Dead Island, Darksiders, Metro, World War Z. Just to give you an idea about the group. So for us, it's very head office in Karlstad, and that's mainly because our founder is from Värmland, Lars Wingefors. So the roots are from here, and he wants it to stay that way, to have the parent company here. So that is very unique and also a very good base from our heritage. So we are also basing our business from Värmland. And Embracer wants to build something sustainable and also long-lasting. So we're working on doing things together that also will fulfill that kind of mission. So for us, it's also important to support initiatives like The Great Journey, because we're focusing a lot on young people, children and youth, and education and teachers and parents and so on, to be able to fulfill that mission. Yeah.
That sounds really great.
Did I give you an answer?
I think you gave us a lot of good answers about what them. And also talking about how we connect Värmland to this. So thank you so much for that. Karin, what would you say? Like, what is the advantages of being a young game industry here?
Actually, that question I would like to pass on to Simon. We talked about this before.
Sure. I mean, advantages to being a small game studio is, I mean, in Karlstad we have lots of local communities and sort of projects going on where you can meet and hang out with other developers, and that's really great if you're new and you're a small team and a small company. There you can actually share things with other people. And yeah, we have a big university here, so lots of young people who might get convinced to jump on a project like we had before. And yeah, it's a good community to be in, and it's a lagom. What's the lagom word? It's a lagom-sized city, so it's about 100k, and it's a good place to be in. It's just That was a short and weird answer, but yeah.
No, I think it was a really good answer to the question, because we are always struggling when starting something new to like, how do we get people to come here? Because we have like the big cities like Malmö and Stockholm where people have already established a game making community. So I think it's really good to like show the perspective of what can we get from having a little bit of smaller city as our home.
Yeah, you know, I mean, game companies tend to start up where people happen to live or where they are already established. And now that we have a proper studio here and we have more coming up there, we will see more studios here in the future too. So, yeah.
That is our hope, our goals. Yeah, you come in.
Hey, I was just thinking, can I add something to you, Simon?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
A question, because I'm thinking maybe it's interesting also to hear what would you say to be a part of Embracer Group versus to be on your own? Like, what kind of things have it gave to you?
Yeah, sure.
In terms,
so maybe I should just give a sort of background how we actually came about, or what the studio, where it came from. So we were a team of 3 or 4 people, around 30 years, all of us, and we were in some way involved with IT or the games industry. So we want to make a game. We want to make games. I was freelancing, the other guys were on another company, and fourth guy was doing completely other stuff. And we didn't feel like we wanted to kickstart something or do something complex with finding some financial somewhere. So we thought finding a publisher somewhere would be great for us. So we just pitched it, basically. We just tried with a couple of big publishers, and Embracer Group caught on to it. So now we are working with Embrace Group, and we are wholly owned by them. So we are an internal studio, which means we make everything we do together with them. And like Karin and Bea said earlier, the head ownership is in Karlstad, but the day-to-day business is actually with THQ Nordic and Handy Games for us. So we speak more with Germans and Austrians than we do with the Swedes, even though we have lots of local stuff going on, and I enjoy visiting this school and, you know, speaking to students and giving them advice and so on. So yeah, that's our background. And we were founded about 3 years ago, 3.5, and we published our first game in October last year. And it all went well. So we're looking at the next project now and supporting this one. So that's where just a quick recap of what we are and where we came from. So having Embracing Group backing us is quite different from freelancing or doing like a proper indie thing. So we have that safety and that comfort of having a publisher. We do have a backseat driver, of course. That's how publishers work. But it's a good relation. They help us out when we need something, and they listen to us when we have ideas as well. So it's good. It's a
mutual kind of mutual relationship in that kind of
sense. It's the way publishing should work, I think. It's a give and take as always. I mean, everyone would love to give me money and stay away, but that's not really how reality works. So they give a lot of good input, and we change things based on what they think too. So yeah.
And then I wonder, how is it for you guys who are on the publishing side of it. How is it working with smaller studios like Mirage here, for example?
Mirage here, for example. Let's see.
Kan du göra Rosanna?
Could you please ask the question?
I was just wondering how it was as a publisher working with game studios like Mirage, since you are helping them on the publishing side.
Well, I'm just working with the sustainability area, so I just talk to all the studios about those things.
Yeah.
So I'm not so much into the games.
No, and not me either when it comes to the publishing part. So I think Simon is best.
You're actually
I
the
mean,
expert.
it's hard for Carnegie to answer what it's like to publish games because they aren't personally producing things, so it's quite difficult. But Embracer Group is kind of interesting because they have the whole range of companies, and we are until recently definitely the smallest company. So I mean the biggest company are several hundred people, and the way you manage that sort of company is quite different from how you manage our company. And the way they work internally is also completely different. So yeah, they have different ways of handling all the studios, and they have different challenges. I mean, in our company, you know, internal communications is not an issue because we all fit in one room, and at all the major game studios across the world outside the Embracer Group, that's a major thing that they always work with. I mean, how can we make sure everyone's on board? How do we convey the ideas to the whole team? How do we get everyone's opinions and so on? That's always a big challenge, which is not at all a challenge for us. So it's quite different. It's really difficult to answer, I think.
But it's good to hear that everything is working well and smoothly.
Yeah, I mean, we released the game, it didn't crash. It went quite well, so yeah. So far, so good. Hoping for good future as well.
Yeah, of course, we are. I would like to get your opinion a little bit, Karin and Bea, about what are the pros of starting a new game industry community here? Like what is the pros like starting from scratch, like we kind of are, but not really, but kind of are a little bit, like we are developing it into bigger.
We believe that by funding initiatives like this, like the Great Journey, we can be part of how it grows and how it's developed. And we can help create the future that we want to see. For example, we want to see increased diversity in the gaming industry and in our game studios. And it's important for us to promote and support more girls and women in the industry. And we believe that through having a gaming education here in Värmland, more people will open their eyes to our industry and be interested in working in it. And with local role models, I believe that them being visible and operating in our county, it will also help young people and so to be interested in knowing what we're doing in our industry and studying and so.
That sounds really good. It sounds like there are many opportunities for us to just bloom into like the future we want to see, if I phrase it like that, because we also want to, and that's also one of the things why I wanted to be part of this, was that I want to make a little bit more inclusive gaming industry, more women and people of different gender. So
things we are talking about throughout our whole group. My job is to put sustainability on the agenda for all of our subsidiaries. And we have developed an ambassador program where we work cross-border with all the operative groups, and where we discuss things like how can we be more diverse, or how can we do better for the planet, and so. We're trying hard within the group, and for us it's also important to work locally here in Värmland and do whatever we can to do better.
Could I throw in a question for Karin?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, speaking of,
You're welcome.
I mean, where would you say we are in Sweden compared to the rest of the world? Maybe that's relevant for, I mean, when it comes to diversity and all these values and so on.
I think it's a little bit the same all over the world in our companies anyway. But some of our companies are working really hard on these issues, and we can see progress where it's on the agenda, where we are talking about being more diverse. It's also happening. So, but there are different challenges in different countries, that is for sure.
But there's also, I mean, a question about like what is sustainability within the global perspective, right? Because some countries, they think maybe more, like you told me.
Yes, it could be like just the climate when we're talking sustainability. But in some countries, and as Embracer believe that there are many issues that's included in sustainability. And we are talking about like the content of our games, how they can be accessible for all people, even if you have maybe some kind of handicap. So it's very interesting to work with all these small things that can make the games better and make it better to work in the industry.
Aspects, because that's also go back to what a game is. Because usually you talk about the game it's something that you can interact with, but it's also an experience, and it's really important to include people into the experience. Let's see. What do we have? Do we have something more? Yes, we do. How is it to be here in Värmland? Like we have talked about and established that we have some companies, video game companies here. We have Embracer Group here. But how is it to actually, from your perspective, just working here?
Is that for me or for Carnegie?
For everyone, actually. It's a question for all of you guys. Because you're working from different perspectives, I think.
I mean, from a game developer's perspective, we could make the game in a hut somewhere out in nowhere, as long as we have a good connection to the internet. But it's like I said before, Karlstad is a good-sized city. You have most hobbies can fit in here, and there's a reasonable amount of after-hour activities. So yeah, I just like Karlstad. It's not a major city, but we do have the comfy feel, small town still. So yeah, I just like Karlstad. It's hard to express.
Yeah, I'm new, so sell this for me.
Yeah.
And I come from a really small city called Nässjö, and I actually was studying here at the university 20 years ago, and it was a lot of fun. And now I really enjoy staying here, working here, being able to have an interesting job like this in an interesting industry. And since I have 4 kids, they don't want to move anywhere. So I'm really glad I ended up in Karlstad, because it's a really nice city.
Yeah, I'm actually from here. So I was born and raised here, but I moved from Karlstad 100 years ago, almost, it feels like, but 99. So I came back 6 years ago. And I'm very happy to have found, a great job like this, and a lot of people to work with within the whole group. It's a very many advantages, and it's also very fun to be able to run a business from a small city like Karlstad. And I'm always telling when we're traveling around to our studios and to all the companies within the group, we're always trying to say like Karlstad is in the middle of everything in Sweden. It's very close to Gothenburg as well as Stockholm, and you can easily take the train, or you could take the train before. And also it's close to us. We are very happy. I mean, it's a great place to be.
Awesome.
Yeah, I just threw in that about half the team is originally from Värmland, even though most of them moved back here or came here just for the job. So most of us are actually from outside of town at Mirage. So and they seem to enjoy it. So Yeah.
It seems like
We haven't scared them off yet, and they've been here for several years, so it seems to be working.
That sounds really good. I am so looking forward to explore Karlstad this summer. Thank you.
You're welcome to come to the office as well.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about when you could take trains. How have the COVID-19 affected the games industry, do you think? Or for your company? Has it been any changes?
Well, most of our studios are working from home, so that's the big yes. And for the countries where there are very hard restrictions, they also have to homeschool their kids and things like this. And of course, it gets complicated trying to work 8 hours every day for us.
Yeah.
But they are very innovative, I would say, to help each other. Creative, yes. Yeah. I mean, it's a creative industry, so they are finding their ways, and we are trying to support where we can.
And there's a lot of digital meetings all the time, so it's been going very well to be able to work as normal from a digital perspective instead. So a lot of digital meetings like this. So it's going well, even if it's complicated, of course, outside in the world right now.
Usually, do
you have any in-house studios that are actually sitting with you? I don't know if Mirage are actually doing that, but
we used to be on the floor.
We used to be on the floor below Karin and Bea.
I spoke more to the Germans than I did to Karin and Bea, which is a bit weird. But we used to be just next door. So we were the everyday zoo that when they brought visitors in, they could. So this is a studio. This is how they work. But it was great fun to be there. We just across a few squares from where they are now. Yeah, I mean, from a developer's perspective, the COVID-19 issue. Of course, it's a distraction to have to work from home and by distance, but it's not a major for us. I mean, major issue. We most of us had that stuff set up anyway, so we could work from home if we needed something or if there's an emergency. So we were up to speed the day after we got the call to move back. It's starting to get a bit of a challenge for the art team now. I mean, the coders seem unaffected in general. They almost seem to enjoy it. I mean, in general, the whole team is made of game nerds. So, what are we going to do with it all the time at home? It's not an issue for us. We'll make it through. And but we miss having meetings and casually having lunch and so on. But it's going to blow over eventually.
Yeah. That is good to hear that everything is moving forward anyway, because this is something that we have heard about from people who are interested in coming here studying, like how is this going to affect me later on, like what is happening. And here at the game, the Great Journey, we have been having everything digital, and we're trying to just make everything continue working for our students. So it's really interesting to see how it affects also like the game industry here around us, because it is something that is affecting every one of us in one way or another. We have actually a couple of minutes left, and I have some questions that have popped up in the chat, and that is actually one for you, Bea and Karin. Which games are you looking forward to most right now within the Embracer group?
Satisfactory, I think, is a very interesting game that Karlstad are doing. We've seen, I mean, they're having the early access out now, so we've been able to see that, of course, which is very popular. So I'm looking forward to that. Even though I'm not a very myself, I was when I was a kid, but now my kids are playing the most of them.
I'm very interested in what Mirage is doing next.
Which is all a secret.
It's all secret right now.
Yes.
Show it off eventually. right now we are mostly supporting. We just recently released Little Bit Workshop, available in all good shops near you. But it's we're mostly supporting that and looking what the next game could be. So would be great fun to show it eventually what it's going to be.
We also have a small question for you, Simon. How did you actually start making games? Like, what is the backstory for you? Was it starting liking games and then continuing forward, or?
Yeah, so the short story is I started in gymnasium in English, high school.
Yeah,
high school-ish. I started high school-ish. I just wanted to do something else than study at home, so I started freelancing, doing concept art because I liked games in general. So it started early in my teens somewhere. Started freelancing. Eventually started a company where I made more professional freelancing stuff and 3D visualization, and then became a teacher in the same sort of brand, or what's it called? Branch?
Yeah, industry.
Industry, sorry. So I've been working in some way with 3D or art since I've been a teen, and I'm well over 30 now. So games have always been a hobby and a passion for me, so it's always been there. So but I started freelancing and just started my own company, and this is the first proper company that I've been with since the beginning, and we made a game from scratch. I've been in other teams before, but it's more of a sort of visiting role. I came in and made key art or concept art and stuff. Yeah.
Nice, because it sounds like something that one of our students might actually come from a similar background.
Yeah, I mean, the best way to learn is to make really crappy mods or fail doing an indie game, and they are bound to do that. I'm looking forward to. I mean, some of the stuff I've seen here so far is really promising. So I'm looking forward to see what some of these people are going to come up with after this studies.
Great to hear.
Yeah.
Bea and Karin, how did you end up at Embracer?
Sir?
Well, actually, I have been working for Lars Wingefors since 2011. So that's how I ended up here, actually. I was the CEO of a company here in Värmland called Bra Mat Hemma, a matkasse company by another company. And I had a different jobs. I met Beatrice in where she was working a couple of years ago. And then I got the chance to Embracer. And I have the almost the same background as Karin, so I can do copy paste on that. I was working as a CEO for a company that Lars also invested in. So I had a chance to learn him or get to know him a few years ago as well. So then I joined the Embracer Group in September. So that was also quite new. I'm also quite new to the company. But during the spring, I was working with the name change from THQ Nordic to Embracer Group. So I was working in a project with that before I went to Embracer.
Really good. Thank you so much, guys, for being here. I think it's been really like a lot of information, like a lot of new information for me, because
I am totally new here. So it has been really nice just to talk to you guys about everything. And just answering some questions for our viewers. Thank you so much.
Yeah, great to be here. Nice to visit.
Yeah, hope to talk to you soon.
Oh,
thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
So let's see. Okay, so we are switching over. So now we are going into talking about our new industry, new course. It's been a long stream for now. Our new course, which is Experience Design, and that is something totally new for us here at Karlstad, and we are very, very happy and proud to have it here. We are going to get soon. We're gonna have Dominique, Sarah, and also I think Patrick again. Bye Simon. Are coming over here, and then we're gonna talk a little bit more about that. So if you have any questions, just a reminder that write them down in the YouTube chat or in our Discord. If you want more information about anything, then we are having both our information on our website, but also on our YouTube, our Facebook, and as I said just before this, on our Discord. So you are so freaking welcome to come here and talk to us about everything that has to do with games. So let's see. Now we gonna change over. So, there, now we have everything on the stream. Nice, and now we know everything also. So now here in the stream we have me, Rosanna again, we have Patrick, my co-worker, we have Dominic, and so I'm gonna let you guys introduce yourself. So Patrick, do you want to start with a short one if they don't remember you from before?
Okay. My name is Patrick Stanfast. I am the project manager for The Great Journey and the founder of Great Journey way back. Well, my job is to make everyone happy and make people productive and have a good time making fantastic games.
Awesome, thank you. Dominique, do you want to go next? Awesome. Yeah, I think that was short and sweet. Awesome. And then we have Sarah.
What should we talk about then?
Everything. Video games, breakfast, I don't know.
Was there a question?
Yes, we can have Patrick's questions.
Yeah, we have actually some questions we have prepped for Patrick.
Yeah,
in regards to this. So we're gonna ask, in what way does the design course of experience design affect the Great Journey, would you say?
I mean, I have to be a bit philosophical here. I mean, I think games is the ultimate user experience. You only play games if it's fun. The moment it becomes boring, you stop. So becoming a good game designer and game developer, you need to have the player in mind. Otherwise, is the experience crappy, people won't play. Doesn't matter if you get, even if you get it for free, you will still not spend time with it. And that, I think that's why games are so interesting. And I think user experience or user design, UX, etc., is sort of, in that respect, they're very linked.
Okay.
Should I take a break or no?
No.
Keep on going.
We keep talking.
I'll keep on talking. Basically, I mean, I think it will have a huge impact because we're talking experience design is about service design, experience design, user design, analytics, analyzing data, designing experiences built on that data.
Prova ifall vi har Sara med oss nu.
Sara, är du kvar? Okej, härligt. Sara är kvar. Sorry, I went into Swedish.
Both Sarah and Sara.
I think we have some problem getting Dominic in. I think that's where we are right now. You were there, okay. We're having a problem streaming you. I think that's a problem then. So we are looking into that. So people are do. Yeah, so we're gonna redo the introductions soon. So let's see what's happening. Well, it has been going on this stream for 1.5 hours, so there's a lot of things that has been happening. Okay, let's see. Can we hear everyone? Can we hear everyone? Our technicians are working hard.
This is nearly as difficult as operating a copying machine. Which is probably one of the most difficult things. And there's a lot to be said about the user experience of copying machines. One of my favourite movies is Office Space, and there's a specific scene there when they slaughter
Oh no!
a copying machine, which is hilarious. No, there are good copying machines, of course. There are good copying machines, of course.
Of course. Let's see. I think we are restarting the stream. But everyone else
just continue staying where you are. We are
I think that's where the
fixing it on our end. I think that's where the problem are. So.
Ja, men det där är ju den scen som dör. Så det är om du bara går över till Ghosting
I
of
think we are on still. So.
I think we are on still. So. We can see. Yeah, we are live.
Okay. So what we have lost.
I think we have lost
on the stream.
Dominic and Sarah.
In some way.
I'm not sure how.
Okay. Lots of ins and outs. I guess we could talk about the program, the course.
Yeah.
One, as I mentioned before, we were talking about collecting data and analysing data, service design, and as the world is changing, we more and more services are being bought or exchanged, etc. So service is more of how to design a service is more and more important. I think that's hugely important in this case. And we are located next to our university, which means we have a centre for service the top 5 institutes in the world. So there's a lot of help there. Okay. Thanks. I don't need that. Thank you. So there's a lot of knowledge there, and I think will help and benefit in many ways. So that's interesting. The courses, as we all know, it's 2 years, and you will do a lot of. Is it running?
No.
Is it running? There's a lot of. There's a lot of. You'll do internship. I think it's like a quarter of the time of the course of these. So there's, which is really interesting, and that's also. I mean, it's all about learning by doing.
Yeah, it's very hands-on.
It's very hands-on. So, and that goes to show how hands-on it is. there's a.
I don't think we can stream your screen right now.
No.
So it's only us on the screen.
Yeah,
no
okay.
one else is on the screen right now. But
Do you have any other good questions?
Good questions. Yeah, I think. Why do we have what is the background for this experience design course? What do we think it will bring for the people who are studying here? Yeah.
To make the world better. I think it's an extremely important and an extremely interesting course or program, and it's not only designed for the future. I think people who do this course, they will actually design the future as well. They will be part of that process, and I think there's not one single sector in society today where experienced designer will not have a lot of work to do, because the way we're transforming our society, it's going to be hugely sought after skill and competence. So it's very popular. We've seen it. The program has been given in Stockholm previously, is still, and it's very popular. And when we applied for the course, we went out to talk to companies and said, do you need this skill? Yeah. What's the demand for workforce? How many do you need to employ? And everyone said, yeah, this is so important. We really need this. So we have a very strong support from the local business as well. So it's not only national. Or international. So that's the background.
Yeah, that is the background. I've been thinking a little bit about when you are an experienced design student, what do you do? What is experienced design? If you would like to work a little bit with what is clarifying, what is an experienced designer?
Well, if you're watching this stream, you're witnessing probably
an experience,
which is maybe not perfect, as we have a technical problem. So design, I would say, it's see on the screen, or if it's the experience you get when you interact with something. And today we interact with digital tools.
So okay, I get thumbs up. I'm sorry, Patrick. We get thumbs up over here.
Lovely.
So let's see.
Are we back in business?
Are everyone there?
I'm here.
Sarah there, Dominic.
I'm here too. Yeah, I'm here.
Sweet. That is so good.
Wonderful.
So awesome. So let's start over, shall we? Patrick, do you want to do a recap on you?
Yeah. Okay, guys. Here we go. My name is Patrick Standfast. I'm the founder of The Great Journey, and my job is to make sure things happen here and make the best environment for games development and user design and user experience. Everything digital, really. That is fun and interesting.
Great to hear. Yeah. Dominic, do you want to continue?
Yeah, I can introduce myself again. So my name is Dominic Le Capre, and as it sounds a bit French. That's the reason, because I'm French actually. So excuse my accent. So I have actually a background in business and IT, and for the past few years I've been working mainly as a consultant with vocational education. And now I'm an education leader at Changemaker Education in Stockholm, taking care of experienced designer, the program that we have there. And I'm in charge of recruiting and planning and leading the education, and all that in accordance with what the board for this specific education has decided. So that's it.
That sounds amazing. Thank you. Sarah, do you want to try again?
Let's try again. So my name is Sara Everskog, and I'm a user experience designer that just recently moved from Stockholm back to my hometown area here in Värmland. So I live out in the countryside in a big old farmhouse. We just got a pig last week, but no other animals so far. And nowadays I mostly work as a remote freelancer together with my clients and agencies in Stockholm. And I guess within this education, I will be leading parts of the course that has to do with user experience process, which is my field of expertise and what I still do today.
Really good recap. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Also, everyone who is viewing, who are still there, because sometimes things happen, and that is life. And that's what we do. We iterate on everything that happens and make it better. So we have some questions that have come in and that we want to talk about, and I think we can start with Dominic.
Yes.
What would you say that the experienced designer as an education are? What do you learn on the experience design course?
Oh, what do you learn? You learn
everything.
Quite a lot. I would like to say that everything, but everything is quite complex. Everything is a lot. But if I'm a bit more concrete, I will say that we have different courses during the period of 2 years, where you can start with, for example, user research, and then we can move on to game design. We could also move on then to experience design, if I remember well, and rapid prototyping. This one was very popular with the students. We have agile methodologies, how to work in a project with Scrum and stuff like that. We have different projects. During the year, we have 3 different projects. We did a big one recently with Tekniska Museet in Stockholm, which was very appreciated from the students. And then if we continue with the education, what you could learn analytics with Google Analytics, or other type of, not necessarily Google Analytics, but you learn to analyze data. And you also learn business development and service design. So that's the things I remember. And I think it's quite a lot, quite unique for this kind of education.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And of course, I forgot a big one. That it's that experience design for me. What I've noticed, it's a combination of user experience, gamification, and business development. Actually, yeah.
There's a lot. It's like a puzzle, like a jigsaw, with a lot of small pieces, and we're gonna fit everything together and make an experience of it.
Yeah. Yeah,
that sounds really fun. I think I studied something similar when I studied before this, and I think it is so fascinating to see how, because when you start learning a little bit of experience design, then you start to see experience design in everything that you see around you.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think that we are now in a new phase where we are recruiting new students for the new start next year, and we have a lot of people looking for this education and trying to get into it. And it's really appreciated, both from the students and from the companies that we've been in touch with.
Amazing. I think that's so good. It's going to be really interesting to see how this education goes forward here in Karlstad, since it's new in Karlstad. We haven't had it here before. So it's going to be something new. So, Sara, as you said, you're going to be teaching at this.
Yes.
So how would you say approaching, like, what do you bring from the past into the classroom?
I'm really a firm believer in learning by doing. That you need to try and fail and try again to get better. So that is something I will adapt in my teaching methods. And as in I've done some teaching before, but as in previous work experience, I worked with all sorts of clients, from big corporation like IKEA and ICA to smaller ones like Bris. So I think having like the range of clients that dips into all types of fields of work, from like healthcare to car service supplier, I think that is like a nifty backpack of information to pull from. And I think having a background as art director in advertising, I really enjoy conceptual thinking and visual design. So I think that is something I could be feedbacking on as well. And in addition to that, I would say it's super important to work on good teamwork and having a bit of fun while learning. So that's what I would like to include.
That sounds really good. It sounds like it's going to be really interesting to see how we take, because something that we talked about a little bit, me and Patrick, now when we have the technical difficulties, is what is experience design, because experience design can be so many things.
Yeah, I think if I would talk a bit about experience design in a linear process, it's never a linear process, but you always start up like doing lots of research. You can do interviews or desk research or data analysis. But basically, it's about creating empathy for the people you're designing for. And yes, then you take all of this information and you digest it into actionable content like insights or user journeys or use cases. And after this, you can start designing. As Dominic talked about, a popular course in rapid prototyping, like doing lots and lots of ideas to see what will work for the end user. And of course, like the most important thing as an experienced designer, I would say, is to test the design on the people you are designing for. So that's a big fun part of this job. And I guess when it comes to like getting your work out there, it's working closely with developers to build and ship the solution into a real world. So I would say it's lots of different things that you can touch upon within the field of user experience design. Me, for example, I work with all these things, but my strongest like expertise is in interaction design. So if you take this path, I think it's a lot of different focus or specific areas you can work within. Like you can work solely as a user researcher. Experience design process in short.
That is a lot of things. Like we're talking a lot about many, I would say, buzzwords if people are not in the industry. I would like to hear a little bit from Dominic, like what when you talk about UX, gamification, business development, what do you mean by that? Can you make it a little bit more tangible for our viewers?
Yeah, of course. So UX stands for user experience. So that's the short for user experience. And it's basically how you can produce an experience for the user. You know, we have today all kind of applications. And when you build an application, if you're a company, if you build an application, you have to think it in an economical way. You put some money in developing this application, and suddenly nobody used the application. So that's a very bad investment for the company. So the goal is when you build something to make sure that people will use it. So for people to use it, they have to understand how the application is constructed and what's the intent with the application. And it has to be obvious. They don't have to scratch their head to understand if they had to click on a button to go to the next step. So in a way, we have to simplify every step. We have to make things very, very, very easy for the end user to understand the application. And I started by mentioning that if you're a company, because at the bottom of this, you have someone which is actually the client, which will use, which has ordered this application. And as I mentioned, this person has made maybe a huge investment. IT costs a lot of money usually, and that's the business part. So you need to understand how you can help a company to develop. For a company, the goal is very simple. You either have to earn money or save money. So in a way, our goal is to help the company to accomplish this by having applications that can be used. And what was the last part I said? I mentioned gamification. Gamification is about trying to make the applications as easy as possible, as I mentioned, but make them also like a game, something that the user want to use again and again and again, like something which is, I don't want to say that, but addictive. So
Understandable.
yeah, yeah, actually, yeah.
Mm. No, but that's really good. I think we could go into a little bit about what does the future hold. What if we have people coming here studying experience designer? What can they do? We talked a little bit about the roles. Like you don't need to be an experience designer and do every step of the process. You can also be, like Sarah said, a researcher or any other role in the process. So, like, what does the future hold for them if they come to us and go to education with us?
If I can continue, I will say that I think that today it's an experienced designer is mainly working with applications, but I think that tomorrow or next week they will have to do more than just applications. Maybe they will have to work with architecture because architecture, a house, is also something that needs to be convenient. You need to feel comfortable with the house and something like that. Maybe an experienced designer in the future will have to work with urbanization, how to construct a city, how to build the roads and stuff like that. So I think we're just in the beginning of this new area.
That is exciting, is to see what we can do with experience design. I think we can also see like how experience design actually have affected us now during the COVID-19 outbreak. Because there's a lot of like new things happening to make our life more adjustable to this new change. How would you say that change have been? And what is the part of an experience designer in that?
It's a lot. If I go back to the applications, you see what we're doing now. We're using different streaming methods to broadcast what we're doing, and we're using different type of applications. And sometimes the technique is working for us, and sometimes it doesn't. And when it doesn't, it's maybe because something is not that easy. So maybe what the COVID-19 did is putting everybody online, and suddenly everybody has to use an application to work from a distance or something like that. And then we notice that all the applications are not that easy to use. And then we say, oh my God, how can I work with this? This is not efficient. And that's why we suddenly notice that we need an experienced designer to go and look at all these applications.
So good. I think it's easy. That's a good example of how to like make user experience very tangible for people today. And I would like to ask Sarah a little bit about how UI, another buzzword in this world, how do we use UI in the course? Because UI is a different thing from UX.
If you look at the UX, that's basically what content goes where. Where is the button supposed to be? Whereas UI, user interface, is more about color, feeling, and putting a personality on the design. That's what I would say, separate those things. But usually when I work with my colleagues, they go a bit like this, like one can't live without the other. So they're equally important to have a good design as well as the good UX.
And that's also something they will be exploring in the course.
Yes, absolutely. And then just in terms of the future of experienced designers,
I think, as Dominic says, it's going to broaden to many other fields as well. Probably we won't be called UX designers anymore. We will be product designers that designs cities, smart homes. It's just now that companies started to learn what a UX designer is. So now they have UX design departments, which they didn't have a few years back. So it's really like we're on the peak of making our roles important within companies in all fields.
So it is a great time to start studying UX then.
Yes, absolutely. I would say so.
I have a question. We have talked about indie game developer, which is an education working together with Folkhögskolan here. But this education is an HY, an yrkeshögskola. What does that mean in terms of education-wise? Would you say?
Well, for me, myself, I went to another IH education, and for me that was a fantastic experience, mostly because the focus lies on real-world experience. So there's always that big chunk of internship, and that's where you really learn, in my eyes. So I would say IH is a really quick way to get from beginner to working professional if you compare to university, which is usually longer educations.
Yeah, that is it. Dominic, do you have anything? I see you nodding your head. Do you have anything to...
Because actually many years ago it was not called building, it was called I think qualified building, something like that, and I did something like that in business. I went to an education for 2 years, and that was very good. And after that I wanted to do an MBA, Master Business Administration. So I started my MBA, and I thought that it was not real enough, because what I did previously was working directly with concrete things, while my MBA was very theoretical, actually, and that's the big difference.
Okay, that's really interesting to hear, like the experience, because as we've talked about, like both indie game developer and experience designer are both very hands-on courses here, because we want people to come here and kind of like get into the industry as fast as possible, and also like there is the passion for us also here at the Great Journey, because we want to help people get into the industry as fast as possible. So I think we only have one question right now. Patrick, do you want to?
I just want to say, add one thing, and that's historically we have a lot of people just like you, Dominic, and you, Sarah, who've been working and then wanted to develop themselves and maybe train and learn a new skill. And then YH or vocational training is fantastic, because you don't sit in a school bench and forget about professional life. You're still active, and as we said, it's a quarter of the course is actually doing your internship, which is many weeks. So you're still in contact with and developing your professional network and your skills at the same time. I think that's also a modern way of learning. I mean, I think in the future we will have that. You will learn and work at the same time. You won't you learn and then try to make that into practical knowledge. It will be sort of overlapped. So this is a very modern course and program.
I think that is amazing. I think everything you have been so it's so good. I am very excited. I have been studying a little bit of user design myself, so I'm very excited to see what we can come up with this new course, what our new students are going to do. So yeah, I don't think we have gone actually over. We have been talking a long time now, guys. So I would love just to thank you guys for tuning in, and I hope we can talk to each other soon again.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Our new students are going to do. Have been everything. Oh my god, we have gone through the whole agenda. We are at the end actually. I don't even know which camera are on right now, but
The blue
there's
one.
a lot of things.
Oh, both blue.
Both are
dear.
blue, so
Okay.
there is a lot of things happening. But I am so proud of everything that have happened today, all the information we have got. They've been so good. There have been some hiccups, but that is totally fine. Like,
It proves that we're real.
yeah, it proves that we are real. Everything is a challenge that to overcome. Like, I think this is our first. It is my first live stream that I've been on, and I think it is the longest we have had actually. So, for contact information, if you're interested in us, the great journey, or our educations that we have here in Karlstad, indie game developer and experience designer, you can find information on our website, on our social media. You can join our Discord. I think we are actually doing our meetup
Tonight, yeah.
tonight, like
right
now.
now.
Actually. So if you want to, you can jump over there. We also have links to the education's website and applications websites down in the description here at YouTube. If you want to apply for the experience designer course, last day to apply is 5th of May, and then in the game developer 1st of June. So yeah, thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Hope you had a good time. I am so happy. This has gone actually so good. Actually, I'm so happy. I'm so thankful for my team that's been here with us. For you sitting here with me, Patrick.
Thank you, Rosanna, and thank you all of you who've been watching.
Yeah.
Really great to have you, and hope to see you soon.
Yeah.
Here at The Great Journey.
Here at The Great Journey. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Let me be the one to ease your pain. Baby, take a break. It'll be okay. Let me be the one to ease your pain. Know sometimes that it doesn't